The song is one of our very own. So it's a song by a guy called Oliver Davis. He is part of the Basement Studio, an organization for young people that we work with. So he was previously in the streets and he wanted to sort of do something to get him off the street and stop carrying knives. So he and other people have now come together with the Basement Studio to produce music, and that is one of the music that is produced, which was produced I think a month ago, and it has over 2,000 views on YouTube and about 5,000 views on Spotify. So we are Fearless Youth Association, so we are a young people-led organization. I have my colleagues in the room, and we tackle knife crime in the city. So we encourage young people to get off the streets, to get off gang and knife violence, and take them in to do digital media training programs such as photography, videography, radio presentation, music engineering, which is case in point with the Basement Studio. And we wanted to have our space as a safe space whereby young people can come and talk about different issues that are affecting them and not get sort of attacked. They can be able to sort of channel their frustrations into something useful so they can be able to further on their careers. And with that, now we have different people who've gone and done various things. We have the Basement Studio who are now into uni right now, who are doing degrees in music and business, music engineering, music production, film and TV. So it's all about empowering the young people into something bigger and better. So my conversation today is about how can we make young people integrated into our community. What about the feelings that the young people have on a day-to-day basis? For example, a stabbing in Radford Flats about 11 years ago, and the person who was stabbing people is eligible for parole. What happens to the siblings of that person who died 11 years ago? What about the families of that people? What about the sort of young people that he was engaged in? Do we get them to talk about it? Do we get them to say what they feel about it? Does that person have to stay in prison for longer? And these are the issues, kind of issues that we have FYI for, so that because we have a safe space. Another example was that when we were starting off FYI and we were having different conversations, we had young people come into our office, but then one young guy came to the office and he couldn't sit next to a guy who was from Radford, and because he was from Meadows, because he's at postcode rate, whereby I cannot sit next to a person from Radford, I cannot sit next to a person from Hyson Green, I cannot sit next to a person from Clifton. Why do we have this? We should all be sitting in one table and talk about this different. It's something that happened maybe way past then, and now if you could ask them why are they drifting apart, they can tell you, because they say, oh, my people, my friends say that those people are not good and our people are good. So there's that sort of conversations that we have to have. And with that, now it comes now with like the barriers to the police, whereby young people can't make that face-to-face connection. Even now, you make that face-to-face connection with a police person, and at that instant, most young people will just stand back. Even if you've not done anything, you've not even carried a knife or anything, you turn back because you feel like this person is intimidating me, and he looks back at you with that face of, why are you hiding, or what are you hiding? That's why you're turning back. And that now brings a lot of issues on stop and search, and about racism and extremism, and just that frustration whereby now people don't even feel safe walking down the streets, and the only place that they feel is with those group members or gangs that make them feel better, so they opt sort of to carry the knife to make it feel better. I have a friend who told me that he used to carry a knife because his friends were carrying one. And you wonder why is that person, and you ask that person, why are you carrying a knife? And they say, oh, I don't know, I want to feel cool like my friends are cool, I want to be like them. And over time he stopped doing it just like that because he found something else that could make him feel better. His career is now good and he's very successful in his career. And these are the kind of things that we have to encourage our young people today, is that it's not about carrying the knife, it's about leaving that knife and knowing that the community that you're in is something good. Another example is that there was a guy who was stabbed a few years back, but then the guy couldn't go to the police or to the NHS to get treated. Why? Because he thought that going to the police or reporting it to the police would be such a bad thing to him, because they would sort of prolong the issue and ask him various questions that he wouldn't want to give up. And that prolonged issue made now his mother's friend treat him, because the mother was a nurse, and they would not tell anybody. So that guy feels like his stabbing would make him feel bad and he would go to the street back again. So such things is what we want to talk about. How can we make young people more convinced that the police, the NHS, the city council, the organizations that we are in are there for them, so that they can be able to sort of come and open up and talk about the issues that are facing them. And with this now, it brings a lot of issues on mental health, because the mental health of a person is very, very important. Like, for example, for kids who are taken out of mainstream education, they don't have anywhere to go to. So they think that the streets is better, because now you can go into employment, you don't have the grades to go to employment. You can go to college because you don't have the grades. The other option would be to go to the street, because everyone has to fight for themselves, you know. And with this now, it brings about a lot of mental health, because you, the young people, feel that you're not wanted in this situation and you have to do something else. We have people, a lady who was in her teens and she couldn't, she didn't want to see a white male doctor, and she went to her mom and told her, I don't want to see a white male doctor, can I see a white lady doctor? But then when she went to the doctors, there was a man doctor, a male doctor, but that male doctor came and said that I'm sorry, but we cannot just do whatever you want. And the male doctor came and saw the girl. But then when the girl refused to see the male doctor prescribed her mental health medicine. But the girl was not mentally ill. It's just that she didn't want a male doctor at that time, because during your teen years, all girls want that sort of privacy. And if you want that privacy with a male doctor, then you should sort of have it. But then you get now this lady who committed suicide because she felt that this was not what it was, and she was very young, about 19 years old. So it brings about that mental health of a person that the young people don't feel loved, sort of cared into the community. And this is why we should have these conversations. Also, leading now to mental health, we have women who are now being sucked into knife crime. We have ladies who have to sort of stay in gangs because that's the only way to live. If you get out of the gang organizations, then you're told that you're gonna pay for everything, you know, and the lady maybe doesn't want to go to prison. So we have to also ensure that, as well as boys, girls are also taken care of when we are talking to young people, because they're also susceptible. We have a lady who's been in gangs for almost 10 years, and she's very young, about 22 years old, but then she can't come out because as to the gang, she has all the secrets, and she's been sexually harassed, raped, everything has been done to her, but she can't come out. Why? Because the gang is male dominated, and if something happens, if she rats people out, then she takes the fall for it, and she can do that. That's maybe life in imprisonment. So we have to make sure that the women as well are educated on the dangers of getting into knife crime. And with that now, we as Fearless Youth Association would like to sort of engage you guys into helping us to see how your organizations can be able to help our young people